our uncommon items section now. We already made off of random prompts. Remember, we started yesterday with this like we went through all the prompts to make a magical item, and we ended up with a named legendary bag of devouring. But now we're gonna dial it back, and we went through the common magic item tier. And we explored the DMG, which didn't have many, so then we took a peek inside Xanathar's Guide to Everything, and there's a lot more common items in there. Using the prompts in the Dungeon Master's Guide, in Chapter 7 here, we rolled what kind of magic item we'd make, and then 4 parts of its history, we took these together, and then we put it all together into a mechanical and fluff-based descriptor. So the first item we made was the Staff of Tiamat Rising, or a Staff of the Surfacing Dragon. It has both diadems. I wish it was all 100%. Look, we can't get that good, pure, fresh Alaskan seafood. I mean, we get it. It's just more expensive. Have you got that barbarian that's been invited to a fancy dinner party? Sleeve of many garments. I like your pitch, Orc. So there we go. I don't know. Maybe the pollock fish is from Alaska. Who knows? So then we took another random history, and we made after the prompts that we rolled randomly, a main-handed weapon, or main-handed weapon. Weapons pattern is crafted using the hand of a mains demon by a great demon slayer hero. While attuned to it, the weapon grants its bearer a +2 bonus to initiative. If only it were a goblin slayer, it would be a lot more topical to pop culture, right? And then purely, cut from whole cloth, without needing anything extra, we took an idea that Civil Hermit had, and we toned it down to the common tier level. With this Falling Silence lumber, or, we can call it really whatever we want. In my campaign, we had something similar to this that we called Whisper Wood. I mean, I can put that as an alternative, but I want to pay homage to Civil Hermit. Kroger, Spicy and Crab, yes. It's good stuff, and without it being expired, it was on sale. $1.29 for a tub of spicy crab dip? Heck yeah. Hey, Nadpoo, welcome. Doing well. We're just about ready to get started into an uncommon tier of magical item exploration. So before we make our own, let's take a look at what uncommon items are and what they're starting to simulate. Whoop. Here we go. Okay. Armor +1 starts at rare, not uncommon. I think that was shields that we were looking at. But let's look at... Alright, here's a couple. A Bag of Holding. Now, I personally don't run these in my campaign, It's extra dimensional space, and I say nay nay to that personally. But that doesn't mean we can't include it in our item building exercises. Well, the bag of holding, it's an uncommon item because for the majority of its use, you use it to simply be able to carry more than you normally would be able to carry. Now, you can be a murder hobo, and you can polymorph people into cats and stuff the cats in a bag of holding, and then wait for them to suffocate inside the bag of holding to kill them. And actually, we discussed ways to get around that as a DM if you have murder hobos who are using bag of holdings to smother people. But in its pure, intended form, it simply allows you to carry more than you normally would. It suspends one minor rule, like a background rule of the game. It takes care of some accounting. Let's look at the bag of tricks. This ordinary bag made from gray, rust, or tan cloth appears empty. Reaching inside, it reveals the presence of a small fuzzy object. The bag weighs half a pound. You can use an action to pull it and throw it up to 20 feet. When the object lands, it transforms into a creature you determine. And so here, these are all very low CR stuff. It's uncommon because, you could pull out a baboon and it would just, it's going to go ape, no pun intended. It's going to go ape on the battlefield and maybe assist you all. But it doesn't have a lot of hit points. It'll probably be taken down pretty easily. Look at boots of elven kind. When you wear these boots, your steps make no sound regardless of the surface you're moving across. You also have advantage on dexterity stealth checks that rely on moving silently. So you can see where what we did here is just negate a negative to make it normal. Here, you're doing the same, but everyone, not just people, not just people who are proficient in shields can get this, and who are wearing this armor. This just gives you advantage to either cancel disadvantage or to give a normal roll advantage. And it does say to moving silently. So you can't stealth in, broad daylight and say, well, you can't see me. Well, people can see you, they just won't hear you. Or at least not as well. Boots of striding and springing. When you wear these boots, your walking speed becomes 30 feet. Unless your walking speed is higher. And your speed isn't reduced if you're encumbered or wearing heavy armor. Again, it's taking care of background accounting. In terms of, encumbrance or jumping distance or things along those lines. Hi, Kitty Bird. Nadpoo said, one of my DMs made a custom magic staff for me on my Saturday campaign. Silver Slumber, I can spend 1 charge to cast Light, 2 to cast Thorn Whip, and 3 to cast a level 4 sleep spell. I get 1d4 plus 1 charges per day in the moonlight. I thought it was pretty awesome for my druid. Yeah, that does. It sounds very thematic as well. It's cool that your DM was paying attention to your character and giving you a fun toy to play with. Yeah, Kitty, we're having a ton of fun. A brooch of shielding. While wearing this brooch, you have resistance to force damage, which isn't too common, but it's also, I think only one monster in the monster manual has resistance to force. Force damage is kind of like the universal, it's like, kind of like normal damage in Pokemon, I guess. Well, no. Like, it just always does average damage, because nothing really resists it. Well, Brooch of Shielding will give you that resistance in the case that you have someone shooting force damage at you. And it just provides total immunity from magic missile. So, powerful, but niche. You also can have items like the Broom of Flying, which some people say can break a campaign. Oh, that is good, Dad Pooh. Yeah. Sounds like you have a cool DM who's paying attention to your character. So, with this item, this wooden broom, which weighs 3 pounds, functions like a mundane broom until you stand astride it and speak its command word. It then hovers beneath you and can be ridden in the air. Has a flying speed of 50 feet, can carry up to 400 pounds, but its flying speed becomes 30 feet while carrying over 200. And the broom stops hovering when you land. You can send the broom to travel alone to a destination within 1 mile of you if you speak the command word, name the location, and are familiar with that place. The broom comes back to you when you speak another command word, provided that the broom is within 1 mile of you. Where a lot of people can have a problem with this is, as an uncommon item, at a fairly, low level, I mean, depending on how generous your DM is, if they're playing with magic items, your crew, your party, can be equipped with Brooms of Flying, probably inexpensively in the grand scheme of things, and you all have a fly speed. Does that ruin a campaign? It depends. But here we're seeing, okay, here's a really solid concept for uncommon, and now here's something that maybe is pushing the border of what can be done. Are there boomerangs? No. Well, not in the normal equipment section of the player's handbook, Zulerpai. There are, I think the Drow and the Thrycreen each have some sort of like chakram or boomerang that they can use. So things like that do exist, they're just not common. That could very well be, because, look, there's a book for everything in 3rd edition Civil. Nadpoo says, it's been a long time since I've been excited to play D&D. He surprised the hell out of me when he dragged me into a private chat and I had a Dream Sequence event. The group is fantastic as well. Really good people. That is awesome. More power to you, Nadpoo. I'm really glad that you found D&D and that you are continuing to play it. And indulge, enjoy, and imagine through this game. Alright, so there's some things we can look up here as well. You can see lists in Xanathar's Guide to Everything. Right, here's minor items, uncommon. Alchemy jug, +1 ammunition, a bag of holding. Whoa, hi, cat. Yeah, there's salsa up here. How'd that happen, huh? Yeah, this isn't going to work out too well. And that crab dip is spicy. You probably don't want that. Uh-huh. Okay, are we going to delicately turn around and go find greener pastures? So, we can confer in Xanathar's Guide to Everything for a nice abbreviation here of item type and its commonality. Ah, all right. Diadem sounds like you just checked. and major items in the same rarity. Now, how they split this between... Here, let me see if I can... Alright, the tables in this section classify the magic items from the DMG and the new items presented here into minor items and major items. Then separate the items in each group according to rarity. Each table entry includes the item's type and an indication of whether an item requires attunement. Artifacts aren't included here, as they're beyond even major items in power and importance. So let's take a look. Like an alchemy jug can produce mayonnaise, of all things. There's a story behind that too, by the way. A cap of water breathing. By the way, this simulates a level 2 spell. So an uncommon item, we have a reference, is simulating the water breathing level 2 spell. Sorry. I'm okay, though. So major items are they're very direct. They're providing a big mechanical bonus, probably to combat. Gauntlets of Ogre Power, Gem of Brightness, Gloves of Missile Snaring. But meanwhile, we come up to the minor items. And Alchemy Jug, it can produce olive oil. It can produce water. Oil of Slipperiness. It's like casting the grease spell effectively. A potion of strength, etc. and so forth. So we have some good boundaries for what uncommon can mean. The shield you're making sounds really cool. Could use it on an infiltrator type character, heavy armor, mace, and shield. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure we might be able to argue that both the abilities might push this into low uncommon. But with the specialization it requires, I can still make a strong argument that it's a common item. All right. Anyway. Let's make some uncommon items together, shall we? So, knowing that we're casting level 1, level 2 spells in an item, let's go to our charts. Which actually I think are at the beginning. Here we are. Okay. Let's go up here. Control C. Control V. Now remember, we don't have to go through these 4 steps up here to create a new item. You can take... let's take Elves of Elves. Boots of Elven Kind. And you can give it history. So it's not just... Pardon me. Guess I got a little spice in the back of my throat. So it's not just Boots of Elven Kind, that, you know, you go to your local ye olde Walmart and pick up like they're a pair of shoes like any other pair of shoes. You can make, they're still uncommon, but you can make a magic item special in your world by giving it a history. These aren't just boots of elven kind, like, you know, there's a bunch of elves working in a factory making shoes. These are so-and-so the Dragon Slayer boots. And they don't really have anything to do with dragons, but a hero wore them that did. And so they have this magical property and this history to them. And that's another good way to customize magic items for your players. You can take something that already exists and just come up with a history. Or come up with how it looks beyond just pointing to it in the DMG and saying, hey, there you go, you have some green cloth boots, congrats. Yeah, it could be used for strong builds, Nadpoo. Well, and here's something you can think about, too. If you think that this is too strong as a DM, you can make a note down here and say, the natural oils in the wood that produce the sound dampening effect are also rather flammable. And you can go on to describe a mechanic, but here you have fire, which is a very common damage source. And it is a wooden shield. And so this person might be getting a super cool build, but if they're infiltrating and they use their shield to block a fireball or something, there could be a chance that their shield catches on fire because of the unique oils or saps or properties of the wood. Okay. Anyway. Name. Type. Talk. Alright, I'm going to roll a 10-sided die. Let's randomly generate a unique common item here. Nine. This is a wondrous item. Boots, belts, capes, gloves, various pieces of jewelry. So it's a wide open field. It's a catch-all. All right, what was its intended use? Let's roll a d20. 8. Dwarf. The item is durable and has dwarven runes worked into its design. It might be associated with a clan that would like to see it return to their ancestral halls. So here's an uncommon, wondrous item that is intended for use by dwarves, doing something that's dwarven. What's a detail from its history? Let's learn a little bit more about whatever it is we're looking at. Right? It's like we're casting the Identify spell. We're getting bits and bits of information. 1. Arcane. This item was created for an ancient order of spellcasters and bears the order symbol. Ooh. All right. So, we have something arcane that's a wondrous item meant to be used by dwarves. Is anything coming to mind? If not, let's check out the minor property. Yeah, it could set up something like that, Nadpoo. If we took a little bit of time. In the DMG, there's actually hardness and hit points for various items. Like if you want to bust down a wooden door, there's a hardness value and a hit point value for a wooden door. That kind of a thing. Alright, it's minor property. We're going to roll a d20. Oh, come on. There it is. 2. A compass. The wielder can use an action to learn which way is north. And lastly, a quirk that this item has. Let's roll a d12. Number 8. Muttering. The item grumbles and mutters, whether, it actually does or it seems to. The item grumbles and mutters. A creature who listens carefully to the item might learn something useful. Ooh. Okay. I think we can work with this. What's an item that we can make here? How about this? It's a braid from another dwarf, even like a deceased dwarf, from his or her beard. Or, I don't know if you play with dwarves that have beards, female dwarves that have beards. Some do, some don't. You could say it's a lock of hair. But what if it's like a braid from a dwarf's head hair as a catch-all that has been enchanted so that if you are wearing it, you might actually be able to get some knowledge or some lore from this ancestor that lived before you. Uncommon, if we look at some spells that are similar, you might have something like Speak with Dead. I think that's a level 3 spell. That might qualify. And especially because we're not getting the entire Speak with Dead spell. You're getting just maybe the ramblings of this braid as you're wearing it, and your ancestor is giving you knowledge. And so it can help out in that fashion. And in fact, wearing this item might even allow you to have advantage in persuasion or other like social in other social skills, or I guess we could just say mental skills, right? It could be intelligence, wisdom, or charisma. It'll give you advantage in social skills with dwarves that are older than you. How about that? So it's a powerful benefit in kind of a niche, and it's reflecting a level 3 spell, but a part of the level 3 spell. I think that would make for a very solid uncommon item. Now, if any of you have other ideas, let me know. Diadems is saying one of the characters in Crit Roll has a never-ending flask. Oh my. I'm sure that can cause a lot of merriment along the way. Nadpoo says, sounds really cool. I would be excited to get that as a dwarf. Right? You're learning from your ancestor. In fact, maybe your father died and you took a clipping of his beard and you had it enchanted so that your father can speak through you or speak to you at certain times. Locks of Our Forefathers. Or you could put like clan leader or something like that. Type. Wondrous item requires attunement. I think you'd have to attune to an item like this. This is a this lock measuring 1 to 3. Yeah, dwarves are only about 4. Yeah, whatever. If it's from an ancestor, maybe they have a really long beard. This lock measuring 1 to 3 feet in length has been prepared in a way such that when you attune to it by weaving it into your own beard or hair, the knowledge of your ancestor may speak to or through you. Whoop. When it speaks, it sounds like a faint muttering in the voice of your lost ancestor. In addition to any tales or knowledge it can impart, the lock can help you find your way by pointing north as a bonus action. Then you could have your dwarf talking to the sky like Steven in Braveheart. How about that? I think that's a really cool uncommon, right? It's a way for it. It's like a toned down speak with dead, right? Maybe you can ask it questions, or it can act in some other ways, like some other divination magic that's low level, level 2 or 3. It's a little select. The lock can help you find your way by pointing north as a bonus action. Additionally, you have advantage on any intelligence, wisdom, or charisma checks when interacting with dwarves older than you. You know, any one of these could make for a solid uncommon or a common item. All 3 of them together, I think that makes for a good uncommon. Okay. Do you like that? Was that cool? Let's try it one more time and see what we get. And then we'll build one from scratch after we get some warm-up out of the way. Alright, a D10. Alright, another wondrous item. Its intended use is for 11. Elemental Earth. This item might be crafted from stone. Any cloth or leather elements are studded with finely polished rock. Its history is 4. Ornament. The item was created to honor a special occasion. Inset gemstones, gold or platinum inlays, and gold or silver filigree adorn its surface. It has a minor property of something. Let's roll a d20. 3. Conscientious. When the bearer of this item contemplates or undertakes a malevolent act, the item enhances pangs of conscience. So it acts as a bit of a check. Right? And you say, oh, I'm really hungry. I could steal that loaf of bread and no one will know. No one's looking. This item, if you have it, will make you feel a little bit more guilty about harboring such thoughts. It's quirk, 12-sided die. It could be Nadpoo. 12. Slothful. The bearer of this item feels slothful and lethargic. While attuned to the item, the bearer requires 10 hours to finish a long rest. Ooh, okay. We have some very interesting parameters in which to work. All right. So this is some sort of an ornament that it was made to celebrate elemental earth. Crafted from stone, any cloth or leather. All right. So if there are like wood or leather, it'll have metal or gem studs in it as well. It's a cursed item? We haven't even gotten the cursed items yet, Nadpoo. Cursed items are going to be a whole other show. An ornament that has people think twice. It's made of precious metals and stones. And it makes people kind of slothful. Alright. So if it's forcing people to slow down and make good decisions, I'm thinking, and especially if it's for wealthy people, you know, not as like a reprimand on someone of criminal intent, like street level. I'm getting an idea that this is some kind of headdress that a leader wears, whether it's some sort of a noble or a general in battle. And so what would happen is, when they sit down with council, whether it's war council or affairs of the state, they would wear this headdress, and it would help guide their decisions, because you're getting a moral compass, so to speak. And because you have to sleep more, you have less time, or you have more time to think about what you're doing because it takes 10 hours to prepare instead of 8. And so it really forces you to slow down. Think about what you're doing. Think about what you're going to say. So with that, I think we can have it either cast a spell, and or provide something in the background. A headdress of impartial thought. That could be. This is an excellent website for you to reference, my friends. Okay, let's look up crown, and specifically, we are going to be like a tiara for royalty. A headdress, chapelet, circlet, coronal, coronet, a diadem. A diadem. Come on, a diadem's such a weird word. Who would ever, use that word? Garland, headband, or wreath. Okay. This is going to be a diadem of meditation. Perhaps a wreath? A wreath or a garland? We can use a lot of these interchangeably. Head, neck slot. It could be a ring. It could be a mirror that someone holds up. It's a wondrous item. It can fill a lot of different slots here. Okay. A wondrous item. Attunement required. Well attuned to while attuned to and wearing the garland. Oh, Childish Gambino 1357, thank you very much for that follow. I hope you're finding our magic item creation inspiring and fun. No, Nadpoo. Attunement really comes if there's something a little bit more powerful or personal, such that it needs to read your emotion or act alongside you, or it becomes an extension of you. There's not necessarily, well, as far as I know, there's not a hard and fast rule for what requires attunement. It's more or less, is this just like a +1 sword is just that. Anyone can pick up a +1 sword and swing it around. But a +1 sword that can shoot fireballs on your mental command at an enemy would require attunement. I hope that makes sense. I don't think it's a hard line. It's just a feeling of, is this a personal extension? Or is this just an object that exists? While attuned to and wearing the garland, okay. You have advantage on intelligence, wisdom, and charisma saves versus magical effects. This is mimicking a gnome's magical resistance to similar things. In addition, you require 2 more out. I guess that they use the number 2 in the book. Of rest to get a full let's see, you require 2 more hours of it says 10 hours to finish a long rest. I think for consideration of elves, we could just add 2 hours, since it's normally 8 to 10. So in this case, it'd go from 4 to 6. To finish a long rest. So this first part covers why you're so mentally resistant, right? Once per day, you can cast the augury spell. And let's go to that real quick. Yep, it's a second level spell. I think we're well within an uncommon item. Without the need for material components. Your character may also feel your character may also feel small moral prompts at other times when considering, I guess we'll say a small may feel small prompts at other times when considering the course of a moral action. And there we go. Alternatively, require a roll to see if the garland was awake. If not, it does nothing until the next turn when it wakes up. Well, this one we didn't really make as a conscious being, Zullerpie. It's kind of just a magic item that's always on. But I can see what you're going for there. Something like that might end up bumping up into rare or very rare, because it would come with, instead of just the augury spell, you might actually be able to ask it for advice, or to otherwise speak with it in a live, a back and forth, a conversational tone. And in fact, I don't know, this might be very powerful for an uncommon tier. What you might do is say intelligence, wisdom, or charisma effect, or charisma saves versus magical effects. As the DM determines. That might bump it back into uncommon tier. Having all three, that could be very powerful. And make it so really no mental spells can affect you. I don't know. I would leave it in your hands on what you think is too powerful for an uncommon tier magic item. Yes, you throw it in the lake, Victor. Oh, you're thinking of the slothful quirk. Got it. That could be where the item itself is slothful. Though as it's imposing on you, at least the way that I interpreted it is, it's trying to make you slow down in life. It's trying to make you think. So, you still require, you require more time to do what you would need to do at the beginning of the day, because it really wants you to stop and think about what you're trying to do. Okay. Who out there wants to suggest some kind of an uncommon item? We don't need to roll randomly. We'll just build this one, like we'll cut it out of a whole cloth here. What's a concept that you would like to see made into a magic item? Is it something along a spell, an effect? Is it something that you think would fill a cool niche? Victor says, well, I shouldn't have. It had the power to fully reincarnate my character once he'd been burned to a crisp, and so the sword brought him back. Well, how did the sword bring him back if it was lobbed into a lake somewhere? Remember, we're sticking in the realm of maybe like level 2, like 1, 2, maybe tickling 3 a little bit, but being careful about that. There's, we could build a bigger version of something else. Oh, before the lake. Okay. If there's nothing in particular, sword belt rebuilt on completely, no wounds. No, so why did you throw it in the lake then? What we'll do is let's generate some kind of let's generate something here. A 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. A half elf bard with the background of an urchin. So we have a half elf bard urchin. In particular, we're going to go odds or evens. Odds. This is College of Lore. And from the background, let's see what needs or personality this person. We'll also determine alignment. 7247. So this is a neutral evil. Odds or evens. Neutral evil, female half bard, College of Lore, urchin. And what can we draw from the background or the class? Let's see. You get... Oh, so there's a small knife. That could be a magic item. There's a map of the city you grew up in. We could do something with that. A pet mouse. We could even work with that. A token to remember your parents by. How about that? We can make an item around that. A set of common clothes and a belt pouch. Let's go P1, P2, Ideal, Bond, Flaw, 2d8, 6 and 3, Ideal, Bond, Flaw, 4, 2, 6. Okay, coming back to this, her personality is, I think anyone who's nice to me is hiding evil intent. Again, we're getting more good prompts to make a magic item. Like we were talking about with Nadpoo before, right? Nadpoo's DM paid attention to his character and ended up generating an item that would work very well. So why don't we generate a character real quick and let's make an uncommon item that would work. Personality trait 2 is number 3. I like to squeeze into small places where no one else can get to me. Her ideal is number 4. Retribution. The rich need to be shown what life and death are like in the gutters. Her bond is number 2. By the way, that is evil. I mean, not that your ideal it's alone makes your alignment. Her bond is 2. I sponsor an orphanage to keep others from enduring what I was forced to endure. And lastly, number 6 is her flaw. People who can't take care of themselves get what they deserve. Ooh, this is a fun little character we're whipping up here, isn't it? Out of curiosity, what level is she? At 73. Oh, I'll have to bring it up. I think that's around like level 16 or so. We'll make it 16. It's high enough. We're going to have to come up with a name for this character. I'm kind of digging her. A spell item that makes you invisible from the back but not the front. That would be very interesting, wouldn't it, Zullerpie? Victor says, I made my first Blood Hunter character, by the way. I thank Matt Mercer for this genius, but also way too edgy class. Well, I hope that I hope it works out well for you, Victor. Hi, Echo. I'm not sure what's communist about the character we generated. What's with me making tiefling characters so often? If you have a preference, Victor, then look, the characters you play are in many ways extensions of how you see yourself and how you see the world. And so if you, if that's just your vibe, then it's your vibe. Oh, the ideal? The rich need to be shown what life and death are like in the gutters? Possibly. It could really just be she's not looking to overthrow the economy or the set of socioeconomics that exist, but instead she's really just after the people. She doesn't care. Maybe she doesn't begrudge wealth itself. She could very well begrudge what people do with it, or that there are people who use their wealth in harmful ways to society. So it could, she could harbor, I want to overthrow our nation and our government and our economic cycle. That could be. I'm not even against that as an idea. The ideal is more revolutionary. Well, it could also make her more murderous, right? Again, she may very well not want to kill, some rich philanthropist who sponsors a library and make sure that kids get a bowl of soup every day. She may not care that those people are wealthy because they're giving their wealth back to others in some other fashion. But to someone else, or maybe the factory owner that her parents, toiled under and they fell into a machine and no one cared because the presses continued on after a mere cleanup of the mess or something. Hey, Journey. Burn it down, burn it all down, says Journeyman. Well, welcome aboard, J-Man. We are building a lot of very interesting magical items. Starting with our sentient legendary artifact, Bag of Devouring, we made last night. We made some really cool random common items, and now we're in the midst of going through exercises in discovering and playing with the power tier of uncommon magic items. Oh, is Ashay Guevara the Bard? No, you're fine, J-Man. Don't worry about it. Yeah, here, I'm going to give an Owu 2. But yeah, J-Man, we've been taking random, just like we make our characters. Let's do random rolls and challenge ourselves to think about what we could make with what we have. Okay, so instead of making an item that way, we quickly generated up a character. She has a backstory. We're weaving stuff in together. And now let's make an item that fits her, not just an item that exists for another reason. Yep, Journeyman, in this channel, random number generation is always welcome, and it produces amazing effects. Dark Wolf was saying about a bard here. So the player who's unfortunately leaving my game for work reasons was the party bard, and he had just found an item I was making cursed. Ah, the curse was going to be that the bard would get deafened if he was over 10 feet away from the item. Ah, so it forced an interaction with the item. All right, so we have a character. Look, she's lived through some stuff, right? She lived on the streets. She grew up in the gutters. She was an urchin, a street rat. And that really seemed to harden her heart, right? Neutral evil is, it's selfish. Or it's selfish, maybe a little of jealous. You have these very negative emotions. Maybe it was because her parents, right? Half-elf. Maybe it had to do with her getting bullied or teased. Or it had to do with her just, her parents dying. And she had to grow up herself. No one could take care of her. Or no one wanted to. Because her human family didn't want an elf. And her elf family didn't want a human. And so she learned. She had all this street lore, right? She's a bard. She learned all the sultry songs. She's learned the colorful language. She has learned, languages and skills. Because she's had to grow up on the streets and survive. And I think the item we're going to make around her personality, her ideal, her bond, and her flaw. Well, you can come up with a new curse, Dark Wolf. You got this. I believe in you. Right? If you are an urchin, let's take a look here. Whoop. Oh, come on. There we are. You get a token to remember your parents by. A weapon that causes a target to have to eat 4 times as many rations to not gain exhaustion. Let them be consumed by the greed and gluttony. Oh, yeah. Zilla might be a good name for her. Her parents used to say, good God, Zilla, why did you do that? We can call her Zilla. If you have Zilla something or another, or is that her, is Zilla like her, whoop, is Zilla her urchin name? Does she have a family name? Oh, come on. Or as Zilla. Now, a token, and by the way, this is a good lesson for common magic items and even uncommon magic items. A lot of times what we've done before is we will go to chapter 5 because there is a list of 100 different trinkets. Now, trinkets, they're not necessarily magic items, but they have the potential to be. As it says here, they're lightly touched by mystery. It's behind my head. You're going to have to believe me on that. It might help stock a room in a dungeon or fill a creature's pockets. Why don't we use her token left to her by her parents? We'll generate what the trinket is, and then we'll apply an uncommon level of effect onto whatever the trinket is that's thematic. Hey, Grendel's Skull. We have homebrewed backstories for and the items of common tier and now uncommon tier magic items. So let's roll on a percentile and find out what her parents left behind that is perhaps manifesting these magic powers. 24. A multicolored stone disc. Okay. So using this as a base, and now we have a backstory by virtue of the character's existence. And in fact, it could even lead to more as she discovers, why did her parents have something like this? What does it do? We have a multicolored stone disc. An uncommon item can act as like a +1 shield. Emotional manipulation, that could be. We can simulate level 1 and 2 spells, maybe some of the effects or intentions of a 3rd level spell. Maybe Zilla La Douce. Or would you want to go for something like Zilla La Rue? As a rue is a route or a street in French. An armor that halves the player's wealth permanently if removed. Let's take a look at some other uncommon items. Alchemy Jug, Bag of Holding, Cap of Water Breathing, Mithril Armor, Oil of Slipperiness, a Rope of Climbing, Saddle of the Cavalier, Sending Stones, a Wand of Magic Detection. Or some major items. Gloves of Swimming and Climbing, Gloves of Thievery, Helm of Telepathy. So a Helm of Telepathy is an uncommon item, and that we could use that as a boundary, like not as our base, but we can use it as a boundary, and we can find some other effects in which we can play inside the uncommon tier of magic item. Javelin of Light. Oh, a Medallion of Thoughts. Oh, we might have something, actually. We might have sort of reversed engineered how the Medallion of Thoughts could exist in our world. How about that, ladies and gentlemen? Let's go down to it. This medallion has 3 charges. While wearing it, you can use an action and expend 1 charge to cast the Detect Thoughts spell from it. The medallion regains 1d3 expended charges daily at dawn. Ah, okay. So, what we can do, especially because as a bard, she can make herself immune to charm effects with her counter song. So what we'll take this as a base. So we're going to base this off of Medallion of Thoughts. And we'll say this will be a Medallion of Manipulation. Right? Because maybe it picked up, maybe it was a Medallion of Thoughts. But as she was, she was so bitter in her youth, and she vowed to bring down those responsible for the misery of the people living in the streets. Her sheer emotion, especially as a bard, suffused this magic item, and warped it to do what she wants to do to people. Yeah, see? Yep, Echo Steel, we're resonating. You're picking up what I'm putting down. Eh? So a Medallion of Manipulation. So we can do something like... oh, this is a wondrous item. Uncommon. Requires attunement. The medallion... You remember the Wand of Wonder and later the Wand of Wonder Temple of Elemental Evil randomizer? With her emotions. I love it when chat gets going and... Yo, I know, Diadems. Isn't it amazing? Echo, that would set up a pretty cool redemption arc as the magic item tries to return to its original state. Echo, I'm loving it. Grendel, I'm loving your suggestion. I think you all... I mean, I'm even liking Victor wanting to go buy pizza. Please buy one for me, too. And yes, street is rue. But la... Because street is a female noun in French. So the street is la rue. Alright, so instead of detect thoughts... Which is... Here we go. It's a second level divination. Concentration up to a minute. For the duration, you could read the thoughts of creatures. Zilla sounds more like a whisper bard now, though. Possibly. I mean, I don't. We're not. We don't have Skag open right now, or no. Whisper. No, Whisper's Skag, isn't it? And not Xanathar's. Journeyman. So I gotta tell you, in 3+ years I've been streaming, you're in the handful of streamers that are sincere and engaging. I don't throw that around cheaply. I mean it. Journeyman. Thank you very much for that. And I know, look, you're a passionate dude. You've been through enough BS yourself to be able to detect it. And I very much agree with your own sentiment that you trust yourself to call something out if something seems fake or something seems, you know, like a scam. You've been through a hell of a lot yourself, at least from the little that I've known of you, sir. And you've grown through it, and you've prospered through it, and you've fought through it. And that's made you a tough son of a gun. Or a son of a biscuit, if you don't mind my PG-13 saying on the channel. So that does mean a lot to me, Journeyman. And look, that's why I ended up commissioning creative creature Carla for a little bit of art. And I'll tell you, Journeyman, I even got a commission done through Coffee Cat Comics. And I wouldn't have met those people through you. And those people are in your channel because they're also attracted to your methodology, your thought process, and your own mood. And so it's resonating. And hey, maybe one day I could do business with you. That'd be kind of fun to show off, like, oh, I have a J-Man art on my work. It is from Xanathar Echo Steel. Gotcha. Daniel, I am wanting to send you a picture on Discord. Where should I upload it? If it's something like, if it's character art or something, you can upload it to that channel, if you'd like, Daniel. And I trust Zullerpie. And look, Journeyman, through you, I've met a lot of wonderful people. Neo Realms was in here earlier tonight. And of course, Zullerpie's a big old nerd and hangs out with us. And even came up with the name for this character. J-Man, I do business with people who do business with me. And I've entrusted them, and I have not been dissatisfied. It's minis? Oh, like painted minis? Yeah, you can put painted minis up in the character art if you painted them yourself. In fact, J-Man, I know that you and Discord don't exactly get along here. Let me show you something here. Under channel art, all of this is work, well, except the hamburger, that I've commissioned from people on the stream. Coffee Cat drew this as a mascot concept that I requested. I'm sorry for the green screen kind of saturating. It's because one of the monitors is dark and it normally projects white light out. And this was his other concept. And all I gave him was the prompt of I want a feminine red dragon mascot with hints of green and white. I want a masculine griffin that's black with hints of yellow and red. And I let him go, and this is what he made. Yeah, and hey, Coffee, Journeyman, if you get the chance, Coffee had some amazing roleplay on our game on Tuesday. Seriously, like, watch him. Check him out if you get the opportunity to do so. He faced his own immortality as a vampire, and it frightened him as his character Mordecai, and he did an amazing job. But anyway, yep, so I do business with those who do business with me. And there's other things that are currently out being commissioned and a couple other projects as well, because I want to help support the community that's helping to support me. I see Zilla giving speeches in breadlines and soup kitchens using her bardic magic and her parents' disc to rile them into riots and looking in the high class areas. That may be, Echo. In fact, if we go here to so instead of detect thoughts or including it, let's go to calm emotions. Now, this is you attempt to suppress strong emotions in a group of people. This is a second level enchantment. Each humanoid in a 20-foot radius sphere centered on a point you choose within range must make a charisma saving throw. And she's a bard. Oh no, not a charisma saving throw. Anything but that. Whoa! You can suppress the effect target. Alternatively, you can make a target indifferent about a creature of your choice that it's hostile toward. This indifference ends if the target's attacked or harmed. While the spell ends, the creature becomes hostile again, unless the DM rules otherwise. So in this case, we're going to take calm emotions, and it is going to be reversed. With that corrupted medallion, Zilla might have to avoid entering certain temples. Yeah, that could be Zulerpai. Amplify emotions. Is that a spell, or is that... Yeah, so I guess we can call it Amplify Emotions. Yeah, just opposite it up. Now, opposites don't always work the best on a 1-to-1 scale. In many cases, they do. This one can be up in the air. Because it's not, it's sort of like, look, you can get a common magic item of armor that with an action, your armor falls off. However, it wouldn't be a common item if your armor put itself on like that. Because putting armor on statistically increases you and makes you harder to hit, etc. and so forth. Yet, doffing your armor instead of donning your armor makes you more vulnerable. And so that would be a common effect. But I think what we can do here, I think this can still fall under uncommon. Because she still has to give a performance of some kind. And she's not giving people superpowers. She's just putting some thoughts in their minds that they can mull on for a little bit. Okay, Daniel, I'll take a look at it here in just a second. Yeah, yeah, Echo. It could be amended on the fly, or even before you hand it out. You bring up a good point. Think on paper. Put your dreams on paper, and then walk it back, based on the circumstances that are around you. I mean, I'll use Journeyman as a guinea pig. There's been times that Journeyman has wanted to draw a lot more than he has for the projects that have commissioned him. And he's had to scale it back for purposes of practicality and time. With that mantra KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. KISS. But you know what? I guarantee you, he was thinking of this fantastic, elaborate drawing, but the circumstances just didn't call for it, or didn't allow for it. Diamant Scovey, welcome. JPEG on Twitch. We're going through some DM techniques. We're creating magic items. We started with uncommon items, and now we've worked up to our common. Now we're in uncommon items. Kind of a reverse empathy. Instead of her feeling them, they feel her emotions. Yeah. We can... so the medallion can cast the calm emotion spell once per charge. And I guess so. The medallion has 3 charges. Each charge can cast the calm emotion spell once. The spell works as described, except... yes. We make campaigns, we make characters, we talk about rules, we'll make custom spells, we learn about real life, and we translate it into ways you can run it at a fantasy table or sci-fi. We primarily do Dungeons and Dragons, but we can talk about sci-fi, modern setting stuff. We can talk about a lot of things, JPEG. For all of you who are here, too, you are welcome to join us on our Discord. If you like what we're doing here when I'm broadcasting, our community continues this creative thought process off of the stream as well. We keep it safe for work, so you don't have to, feel guilty opening it up and, there's stuff there. We keep it PG-13. We keep it creative. We can talk about serious issues. And then we discuss it, in a way that we can interpret it into our games. It's a very awesome community, though I'm probably biased in saying so. There it is. Follow me. I love that. I really do. Except you attempt to encourage strong emotions in a group of people. Suppressing charmed or frightened is fine, because that's a part of it. Alternatively, you can make the target indifferent about a creature of your choice. So instead of just that's the calming, is you make someone indifferent. So instead of making someone indifferent, alternatively, you can make a target passionate about creatures of your choice that it is hostile toward. This passion ends if the target is attacked or harmed by a spell, or if it witnesses any of its friends being harmed. When the spell ends, the creature becomes hostile again, unless the DM rules otherwise. Daniel to Echo Steel sounds like marriage. Oh, jeez. Hey, Pneumatica, welcome. There we go. We did it. So, whereas we rolled random... Hey, Coffee Cat. Oh, speak of the tiefling and he shall arrive. Hey, Coffee Cat. Welcome. Good to see you. We totally weren't just talking about you and showing off your art to everyone. So before, what we did, we rolled some random aspects of an item, and then we came up with an item on the fly. So we said, okay, we're going to make a wondrous item. It was intended to be used by dwarves. It has an arcane history. It can act as a compass, and it mutters. And we're like, okay, put the pieces together. Aha, what if we made an item like Locks of Our Forefathers? So it's a lock of beard hair, or like hair or beard. This lock, measuring 1 to 3 feet in length, has been prepared in a way, like arcane, right? Such that when you attune to it by weaving it into your own beard or hair, the knowledge of your ancestor may speak to or through you. When it speaks, it sounds like a faint muttering in the voice of your lost ancestor. In addition to any tales or knowledge it can impart, the lock can help you find your way by pointing north as a bonus action. Additionally, you have advantage on any intelligence, wisdom, or charisma checks when interacting with dwarves older than you. Hey, right? Because you're talking to your ancestors. Dwarves love ancestry, old knowledge, hanging on to the ways. And this uncommon tier item came about because we randomly rolled these properties. Another randomly generated set of circumstances. This is all out of the Dungeon Master's Guide. This is vanilla 5th edition D&D you can find in the core rulebooks. Now, I do have Xanathar's open, and we're using that to set boundaries, but our core, because this is a workshop that deals in D&D 101. Very rarely will I ask you to dip into a supplement. And even if we do, I'll provide the supplement so you can see what we're doing. At its core, we then made another wondrous item through a random roll. It had to deal with elemental earth, so precious metals and gems. It was an ornament of some kind in history. Its minor property is that it promotes conscientiousness, making wise decisions. And its quirk is slothful. It requires 10 hours to get an 8-hour long rest. So we sat back and we said, all right, how can we... Why would an item like this exist? What would it do? Who would have a high monetary value ornament that would promote them thinking conscientiously. A decision maker, a noble, a general, something like that. Bada boom, a Garland of Meditation. While attuned to and wearing the garland, you have advantage on all intelligence, wisdom, or charisma saves versus magical effects as the DM determines. I did have and, but I thought and, despite it mimicking the gnome racial ability, might have been a little too strong. In addition, you require 2 more hours to finish a long rest. If an elf is wearing it, it takes 6 hours to meditate a long rest instead of 4. If you're not an elf, it takes 10 instead of 8. Once per day, you can cast the augury spell without the need for material components. Your character may also feel small prompts at other times when considering the course of a moral action. We just generated out. We cut it out of whole cloth. I've said this like 3 or 4 times already as a phrase. We've generated a unique, wonderful, low-powered magic item that doesn't have to destroy a kingdom or peek in on the princess while she's bathing to monitor her and so she doesn't get kidnapped by orcs or something. I missed some conversation. Let's see. So Pneumonica arrived. Coffee Cat arrived, and yes, I showed off I was talking up your artistic talents, Coffee Cat. Echo, yeah, we had a whole art show and everything. And X Cat arrives. Yeah, we were loving on you, Tricey. Says Journeyman. Daniel says Pneumonica. I don't know what that means. So what's going on? We're creating magic items. I wonder if I should recreate my Hexling in my campaign. What do I think? If you're having fun, Victor, have fun. I like varying stuff up. I mean, if you play tieflings often enough, try playing something different. Play a halfling or a gnome, and use like non-demonic stuff. Hey, Page Master, welcome. Good to see you. What a great RP element. Critical Role just finished. Came in to join the stream. Well, thank you, XCat. I am. Look, there's 44 of us hanging out, so thank you very much to all of you who are coming by. We're going. I'll go over with you the things that we're working on here on this channel in our workshop. Hey, Irony Golem is here too. Yeah, I saw Daniel. What do I think about your Hexling? Look, switch it up. Play something different. Enjoy life. Echo Steel, need your opinion on an unpopular opinion. I'm so sick to death of sentient magic items. No matter how much you plan on role-playing them, they always end up as either Cortana from Halo if they're good, or Craven Edge from Crit Roll if evil. Talking weapons are really overplayed. Yes and no. If people at the table are having fun, they're having fun. You know, to call something a trope at this point in fantasy roleplay, or really any roleplay, I mean, why? everything is something from something else, and that's not necessarily bad. Now, sentient items can monopolize time and strip away some agency from the characters, or the show becomes about the item and not the player character, and so that is a dangerous path to trod, but it's not an undoable one. XCat, I did see your most recent post. It's really colorful. I like it. Grendel, thank you very much for that follow. My dislike of Tiefling solved that problem. I need to build a campaign relevant to Tiefling backstory. They're lore starving. Ah. Yeah, RPGs are made out of tropes. Exactly, JPEG. As a realist, if you only did this, ran a perfectly informed, all the best tropes ever, OMG, 1 to 10, that's a 9 great thing. I'm curious which art... the mascot art, Coffee Cat.